Hi, I'm Marco Hanna from Phone Dog. We all use social networking. You do, I do, everyone does. But have you ever wanted a social network that just specifically inspires us to do something in our real lives? IM5 is unlike any other social network I've ever seen. It's a social network that inspires us to do great things. We want all of our Phone Dog fans to head over to IM5, spread the word, pre-register for early access, and also just experience what this new social network can do. So make sure to go to im5.com. Hey, it's Marco from Phone Dog, and you're looking at the Nokia Lumia icon, or also known as the Lumia 929. This is the flagship Windows Phone 8 device that should have been released like a year ago, but in Nokia's sweet time, they've done a few things to make the Nokia Lumia icon more different from the rest of the pack. Just from the outside, you can see a lot of work has gone into designing the icon. The slightly curved polycarbonate back and the really good looking aluminum band make the phone feel more Apple-esque and very, very solid in the hand. Though the phone definitely has some heft to it, not only in weight but also in the thickness. It's just short of 10mm thick, which nowadays is only reserved for phones that either have oversized batteries or phones from 2005. But it's easily glanced over when you just take a closer look. The sides and the bands are beautiful, as also the back of the icon. I'm a sucker for polycarbonate. I've always loved the way Lumia's always felt in the hand, and this understated yet sophisticated Lumia icon look works for me. Things do look brighter when you take a look at the display. Pun intended. It's 5 inches, it's 1080p, it's a clear black display with 441 pixels per inch. It's sitting on top of Gorilla Glass 3, which means there's almost no glare, and it's super durable and super easy to clean. Also, in other words, it's a Nokia Lumia 1520 without all that excess size, and it's much more pixel dense. It's by far one of the best mobile displays I've ever seen. They've got the color saturation nailed these days, plus all the reproduction of the colors are spot on. There's a tiny bit of trouble in the viewing angles, but that's only when you approach the 178-degree limit of the AMOLED display. Inside, you'll find a 2.2 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 800 processor, 2 GB of RAM, and 32 GB of internal memory. They're not revolutionary specs these days, but it's in the top tier of Windows phones. Now obviously, since this is a Nokia product, you'll find some high megapixel perfect censored and some beautiful German Zeiss glass. And you'll find you'll be correct. A 20 megapixel pure view camera sitting beneath some Zeiss glass will allow you to take 19 megapixel photo stills and 1080p video at a few frame rates. I'm sort of surprised that this phone can be a global camera with different frequencies. So if you live abroad, you'll have 25p, while if you live in the States, you'll have 30p and 24p for the video. We'll jump back to photo quality and video quality in just a bit. Now, running the Lumia icon is Windows Phone 8. There's not much to show when it comes down to the features. Most of the Nokia built-in applications revolve either around the camera or the Nokia Maps and Drive system. You will love all the integration with Microsoft Office, especially if you're already involved with their OneDrive cloud service. You'll also really love the integration if you own an Xbox One or Xbox 360. Going in through the Game tab is almost like stepping into your Xbox One dashboard. Its simple yet highly effective menu system allows you to browse through all your messages, your store, plus the spotlight stories that are currently featured on Xbox Live. Games is also where you'll find the games you've downloaded for your Nokia Lumia icon, and thanks to the power of the Snapdragon 800 processor, games will absolutely fly without any hiccups. It also means that Windows Phone finally have a phone that can play with big league Android smartphones, something Windows phones desperately needed. One thing that sort of bothered me with the software though was Verizon's overtaking of Windows Phone 8. I can't help but think that Verizon pushed their own applications and bloatware, or this phone would never exist on Verizon's network today. For example, this phone had NFL Mobile pre-installed. It's a Verizon-sponsored application, it's Verizon-owned, and it took a whole tile on my start screen. Now, it's in the middle of February, the Super Bowl's already gone, there is no NFL, and this whole tile was on my start screen. Now, obviously, you can unpin this, but it's just something to really point out. The experience of Windows Phone 8 is pretty top-notch. It's a clean software that reminds me of the early days of iOS, not too cluttered and very focused on the experience. Windows Phone 8 will always be smooth. Why, you ask? Because there's simply not too many things that could go wrong. even's Bing voice search works pretty well. While the search results aren't perfect and they're not really well detailed, finding gas stations or finding the closest coffee shops or cafes usually go without a hitch. Now, since the Lumia Icon is a phone, we have to give some rating to the call quality. For my select few calls, none were dropped, and the voice quality was crystal clear on both ends. And you'll usually find LTE just about anywhere with Verizon's infrastructure, so you don't have to worry about that. Next, and very important, is the battery life. Inside, you'll find a moderately sized 2420 mAh battery that's non-removable. Throughout my days of testing, I've never had this phone die on me. I've used it as much as I can as my personal device, loading my email, my Twitter accounts, constantly taking photos and videos and watching YouTube videos, and I've even taken this phone to be a mobile hotspot at a Samsung Unpacked event just this week. The only activity that drained the battery was the hotspot feature, but you'd expect that on most other phones. Now, last but not least is the camera. As we said earlier, the 20 megapixel sensor on paper should be an all-star shooter, but it's not going anywhere near the larger 41 megapixel sensor on the Lumia 1020. The photos coming off this camera are very clean in well-lit conditions. I was really impressed by the dynamic range, or the ability to show dark and bright subjects on the same shot without blowing one out. The details from these photos are nice enough to post on your social networks, your Flickr account, but they're not good enough to print out to true size. For portraits or family gatherings, it will do the job just fine, just as any Note 3 or S4 or iPhone 5S. But when you take landscape photos, the details are just not there. I've honestly seen better results from my iPhone 5S, but that's mainly due to the software optimization. I do love the Pro camera application on the Lumias though. Its slick interface but host of options and settings give control to the shooter. For video, the Icon is pretty average, though you do have a lot of settings coming to video. It's almost like a global camera where you have 30p, 25p for you guys overseas, and 24p for American cinema. Not like you're going to shoot the next Bond film with this, but hey, I'm pretty sure someone can make it happen. So the Nokia Lumia Icon. It's a Windows phone that came pretty late to the party, but it came to the party with the finest strengths and the best music. What I'm trying to say is it's feature-packed, and the only thing that's holding it back is Windows Phone 8 adoption rates. It's all growing, but not nearly as fast as it needs to be. But if you're on the hunt for a Windows Phone 8 device and don't mind on being on Verizon Wireless and having a slightly bulgy phone, the Icon is as complete as it can be.